YouTube, how are you? Friendly neighborhood station. So yeah, over to you. I guess that's, I haven't got the swimming thing down yet. Anyway, so today is more vlogish. So if you're like, and I'm shaking the camera, but today's more vlogish. So, and just talking. So if you're like, what? But I didn't make a video. Did I make a video yesterday? I don't think it. No, I tried to make a video yesterday, but because I had too much video footage on my phone, it was like, no, I'm not doing that. No, 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 no. So, yeah. So I couldn't make one, but today I'll make one. So, yesterday I went to the chiropractor, and I was like, well, I think I've talked to you guys about this before, but through my insurance, just in case I haven't, I have transportation benefits, and through the food stamp office, my local food stamp office, I have transportation to get back and forth to doctor appointments and stuff. So, there was several companies that I was using. One called Around Town Taxi and one called Fast Time, and then this one that I use now is called Executive Coach. And Executive Coach is the best one so far. They've got their act together, and their cars are functional. There's no bad tie rods or anything. And the other ones, there was all kinds of problems. All kinds. It triggered my anxiety. But so yesterday, I got up later than what I planned, and so then I was running around trying to get dressed and showered and and food and stuff, and the guy gets here about 15 minutes before time to leave, and it doesn't take that long to get where I was going. It takes maybe about 15 to 20 minutes. So usually he'd get here about a half an hour before, just because that's what they do. And if they're going to be here earlier, they call and they're like, hey, I'm going to be here earlier. Hey, I need you to be ready earlier. And I'm like, okay, not a problem. I'm trying not to cover the camera with a tiny different hand, so, not going to work. So anyway, I lost total track of what I was going to say. So yeah, car. So he gets there 15 minutes before, and that wouldn't have been a big deal. But the dude was like laying on the horn, like zombie apocalypse had happened, and he got bit, and he was like this on the horn. I mean, like somebody was dying. Like, move your booty right now. Laying on the horn. And I'm like, dude, you're here 15 minutes early, and you're laying on the horn. That's ridiculous. So, I called the guy. I called the office, because the driver hadn't called me and said, I'm so-and-so, I'm here to pick you up. Hadn't called me. So I called the office and I said, hey, can you tell him to stop laying on the horn, and can you tell him to that I will be out there in just 15 minutes early. And the guy says, well, sometimes they get there early. I'm like, well, sometimes they do. I was like, well, can you tell him to stop laying on the horn? And he's like, I guess. And I'm like, what I ask? No. So, I mean, so then I have neighbors, and they stay up pretty late. And I'm afraid it's going to bother them, and there's just no reason to do that. I'm sorry, I just don't think there's a reason to sit down and lay on the horn like that. Well, so the guy on the phone tells me if I'm not out there in 10 or 15 minutes, then the person's gonna leave without me. And I'm like, okay. So I'm running around, I'm taking a bite of cereal, I'm tying shoes, I'm taking another bite. Tying the other shoe, I'm taking another bite, putting the milk away, I'm taking another bite, putting the cereal away. I mean, you get the idea. It's like, So I'm running around like that. Then, I get out of the car, and the guy says, "Oh, you didn't have to be out here till 1:30. You didn't have to come out that early." And I'm like, "That's not what he said on the phone." So, yeah. So we head off to the chiropractor's office. Drive. Get out there. And it's raining, and I still have a little bit of a wheeze in my lungs, and I have a little bit of cough. And I was like, okay. So this is the reason why I was doing that, because I get out there, and the guy was like, "Okay, we're here." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, we can get out now." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, they don't, and the chiropractor's office goes to lunch between 1 and 2. And the guy said, I said, "Well, they're not open yet." He said, "Well, you can stand out there and wait for them." I'm like, "Dude, it's raining." He's like, "Well, you can stand on the porch." I'm like, "Dude, it's raining. I have a cough. I'm not sitting out there in the rain on the porch in the cold for 15 minutes. And the guy's like, "Well, I don't know what to do because I have to go pick up this kid and blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Well, I guess I could ride out there with you." And he's like, "Yeah, I guess." He said, if I'm not there to pick up this kid, he gets really antsy. Now the kid he was going to pick up was developmentally delayed, had some other issues, and he called him. He said, "I gotta go pick up this retarded boy." I'm like, "What?" I looked at him. I was like, "We don't say it like that anymore. We say developmentally delayed, or special needs, or I don't know. We say it a different, nicer way. This is the year 2017. We don't talk about people like that anymore." And I know he necessarily... Okay. Now, the guy that was driving me, he probably was in his 50s or 60s. And he may not have meant it in the way of, like, calling this kid retarded. Or saying, doing it that way. Okay, he may not have meant it that way. He may have just been how he talked and his vernacular, and not meant it in a way of degrading. But he said it several times, and I was just kind of looking at him like, all right. So then he tried to tell me that it would take an hour to get to where he needed to go to pick up the special needs individual. And I was like, okay. I didn't know where it was at. I was like, okay, well, whatever. So then he drives out there. It was not even 15 minutes from where I needed to be. Not even 15 minutes. So he just picks up this kid. Not really a kid. The young man was probably about, might have been 16, probably most likely 18, maybe even 20. And kid gets in the back seat, and we head back, and then he comes to the chiropractor's office, and he goes, "See, I got you to the chiropractor's office on time." And I'm like, I mean, maybe it's me being a brat, I don't know, but it just seemed really aggravating and really frustrating. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate this executive coach, and I appreciate the fact that I have this transportation thing through the food stamp office, community service office. I'm not sure what the PC name for it is, but I always call it the food stamp office. And I appreciate the fact that I have these transportation through my insurance and stuff, because otherwise it would be really difficult for me to get to my appointments, and my boyfriend would have to take me, or his parents would, or my parents would, and it'd be really kind of a strain. So I really, really do appreciate the fact that we have this. that I have this, that it's available and stuff. Please don't get me wrong. It's just, that day I had just done a breathing treatment, and I was real anxious from the breathing treatment, so that didn't help anything. And it just made me go breathing. So that was yesterday. Today was good. I, got up and I did some Spanish. One of my New Year's resolutions has been to finish learning Spanish. So I've been doing at least like 15 minutes of it a day, just trying to plow through the lessons and stuff and make sure I retain, because of the dyslexia I have, I don't retain information. Like, if it gets into my long-term memory, I'm fine, but when it's in the short term, I'm like, and I will know something backwards and forwards one day, and then the next day it's like I never learned it. It's really frustrating at times. So it takes me a little longer to really get things down, to really learn things, and so it's just taking me a while to plow through, these Spanish lessons. And plus I want to really retain them. And so I got up and I did that. I got food, got all that good stuff. Well, then I went to my therapist appointment, and that was really good. I talked to her about a lot of different things. I talked to her about how I still have my really bad nightmares. Talked to her about some flashbacks I've been having. When I was a kid, something horrible happened, and I still haven't decided if I'm going to make a video about it in detail or not. It's something it's going to be something that's difficult for me to talk about. So I haven't decided if I'm really going to do that yet. I might. I just have to give it more thought. And so I'm going to therapy to deal with that and deal with other things that just, happened growing up. I have PTSD because of just life, and horrible things that happened. So I was talking to her about that, and she said, well, what's some of your goals? And we talked about that, and I said, I really want to get back to work. I haven't been able to really work in a while. And she's like, well, we have something here that might be able to help you with that. And I was like, okay. So hopefully she's got me into that program. And we talked about how focusing on the past doesn't help you move forward. You have to deal with the past, but you can't focus on the past. And I said, yeah. And we did, I'm in a program where they're talking about how your general health affects your mental health, and how your mental health affects general health. And, so we're working on the general health stuff, and we talked about maybe setting up sessions where we would actually go walking after doing therapy. And I was like, that might be a good idea. And yeah, so I've been feeling kind of off since therapy, because I really got into some of the pain and talked to her about how I used to feel growing up, and so I've been feeling kind of off. I hadn't decided if I was going to vlog today or not. Whether your issues are, everybody has issues. I mean, we all have issues, and we all have issues. Okay, it's just the way it is. Whether what you've experienced growing up, or whether you experienced something traumatic, or you didn't experience something traumatic, we all have pain. And I recommend for everybody to get some type of counseling, some type of therapy. If you want to sit down with your religious leader, if you want to sit down with an actual therapist, or whatever not, it's good to do that. And plus, I have depression, and they don't have me on any medicine for it. I just am monitored, and I monitor my moods and stuff, and monitor how often I have panic attacks, and I monitor how often, different things, and it just, so it's kind of like that. Sorry, I don't really know how to say it sometimes, but dealing with the past is painful. Looking at it, especially from this perspective, looking at it and going, that happened and it hurt me, and this is why I act the way I act sometimes. It hurts. And it makes me sometimes want to just curl up and hide and not want to deal with it and not want to look at it and not want to talk about it because it hurts. You know, I've mentioned my Aunt Faith and videos and stuff, and she was a big part of my life, and her loss is such a hole. And I miss her so much. I mean, I talked to her every day or every other day. She was such an integral part of my life. And she's been gone now for a little over 2 years, and my birthday is coming up this week, and she would always try to do something, even if it was just, hey, I'm gonna, sing happy birthday over the phone. It would just, I guess I'm just trying to tell you guys I'm in pain today, and an emotional pain today, and it's not always all rainbows and butterflies. So, but thanks for watching. Maybe next time I'll tell you about it. Maybe next time it'll be a little happier. And maybe next time I'll get my research done so I can tell you more about Genesis. Alright, well thanks guys. I appreciate you watching. I did set up a Patreon account. I will put the link in the description if you'd like to support me and what I do. You know, there's steps to follow there. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, you can, that will be down there. And then thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.